Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to round 4 of the Evolution Racing Academy Sunday Championship. And it's going to be a wild one because we have returned to the beautiful track of Spa-Francorchamps for our championship. And it's going to be a wild one. Drivers are absolutely excited to be back at the circuit. And a lot of our drivers actually coming off the back of the 4-hour endurance race that was ERA, HSR, and DSGR. All going and putting a 4-hour endurance together, and everyone had a bit of fun out on the track in a variety of different cars. GT4, GT3s, and now we're going to see some GT3 racing once again. My name is Stephen Koenig. Glad to have you guys here, but qualifying has started, so we're going to head down to the grid as we make our way down and get some of that beautiful engine music coming through loud and clear. This is server 1. We do have a second server that runs at the same time, and it is being live streamed. So for those that want to take a look at what server 2 looks like, you guys have full access to it out on our live stream. Give them a bit of love. Tell them that we sent you from server 1. Let's go through our field though, because we got 26 cars out on the track this evening. It's Liam Smith from 2ID Maddie ERA. He's getting chased down by Glenn Smith. Christoph Peterson coming off the back of his race last week was this week. He actually came third in the Raceface Championship, which is the South African Championship. Then we got Christoph Rolotsky of Hollow Knight, a livery that everyone has grown attached to and absolutely adores to pieces. One of the fan favorites out on the track. El Perry going to be out on track. Then we got Nico Lawrence. He's been on a great improvement along with Mahath Musa. Lewis Knight coming off taking the 4-hour endurance race in this very car. The beautiful, beautiful Nissan GTR for the Good Smile Racing. Then we've got the Heart of Racing, Nicholas Porras, along with Martin Spritzer of MB Sim Sport. Darius going and changing his hats here tonight. Yesterday he was a steward. Tonight he is a driver looking to fight it out for the championship. He's getting chased down by Paul Fenter. Then we've got Michael Castro out on the track. Federico Calgo. Dave Young hoping to make a bit more of an impact. Thomas Morton coming back into the Palinka Power Mustang. He's going to be having a great bit of fun out there. Terence Ferreira going to be moving up through the order. Sean Skitter unfortunately didn't see the end of the 4-hour endurance race. He's hoping to change that happened. Scott Reynolds along with David Roth was fighting it out actually in a GT4 last night for the 4-hour endurance. Did a really good job trying to keep it all together. He's back into his Ferrari 488. Then we have got Lucas Cullop. Keep an eye on Lucas. He has been on an absolute charge. Simon Corsat hoping to change him down. Samuel Judden in the beautiful Lexus going and making his way up through the order. Then we've got Chris Wall, Camille Hassan coming around, and then we got Stephen Milano James that is now making his way through. So drivers here at Spa, a 5-kilometer circuit that is going to push the limits of what everyone will be able to do. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you are just as excited as I am, because we've got a variety of championships on the cards here. You'll see we do have our Diamond and Platinums racing with us and looking to take the fight. Lots of eyes are going to be taking a look at Darius, leading out the Platinums at the moment, and he is hoping to really stand on the top of the order. Going to have a little bit of a difficult time though, as he is going to have some drivers looking to give him a bit of a run for his money, and Christoph Peterson, who is leading currently the Diamond status, hoping that he can move, but now has actually been bumped up into Platinums, so points being carried over from his racing. Unfortunately, that means he's going to have a really tough time out there going and fighting it out with the quicker drivers. So Christoph Peterson is in Diamond. Darius coming up to Diamond. Alright, so other way around, do apologize, but Christoph Peterson is the man to beat here. But so far, at the top of the charts, Glenn Smith comes across with a 2:19. Ready as Christoph Lutsky comes by. Darius puts himself into first place. Times are getting quicker and quicker. Mahath Musa, Project Vapor, puts himself into first place with fellow South African Sean Schutte going and making his way through. Lucas Collop, not to be outdone, runs in third place at the moment as our drivers starting to make those times drop. 2:17.5 by Mahath Musa is the bar to be hit. And at the moment, even Liam Smith, who's trying to make up some time, did a 2:20 on his way through on his outlap. So now he's trying to just make it all work. David Roth going and moves himself into the order. Skurt Reynolds going and taking the big Mustang into that 11th position, trying to go for that top 10. Drivers are now trying to just push that a little bit harder, trying to see where they can go. But taking a look over to our virtual grandstands because we absolutely love you guys. We got Brian Giant, who is out there first out of the box, and he is going and sending a shout out to everyone. So Brian, absolutely great to have you. Christoph Peterson running in second place at the moment, 2:17.9. Couldn't quite get the faster lap time there. He does get himself ahead of fellow teammate Sean Schutte at the moment. Camille Hassan currently running in fourth place. This is going to be an absolute run to the top. So this is going to be a proper way to go and launch their way forward. Von Spitzer has got Nico Lawrence coming out. That's going to be a proper run. So Nico hoping that Krzysztof Rulowski will be making a bit more of headway. Currently running in 10th position. Trying to get a little bit more momentum on the way through. Not going to be an easy time though. But take a look at Frederico. First of our platinum status cars is up into 7th position, trying to get a little bit more drive, hoping that he can stay out there and keep ahead of the rest, because it's Reynolds that he's going to have to keep an eye on. Skurt Reynolds running in 14th position along with David Roth in 15th, but times are starting to come in a bit quicker. Mahath Musa puts himself up on the board, and Sean Schutte only 0.4 of a second behind Mahath Musa. Christoph Peterson hoping that he can get a little bit more momentum underneath him with Michael Castro on the way through. He's currently running in 4th position, hoping that the Porsche 992 GT3R will stay in the fight. Thomas Morton puts himself up into 5th place as he makes his way through. Currently 0.3 up just into one corner. Christoph Peterson running 4th place at the moment. Running in 3rd place at the moment. 0.4 of a second up. Glenn Smith hoping to make his way up through the order. So going to be a proper chase down. It's going to be a very interesting time indeed for our drivers. 0.8 up on his personal best. Glenn Smith hoping that he can carry a bit more momentum. Paul Fenter, 0.1. Well, he's actually 1.1 seconds faster than his personal best. Can the 420 Banana Express get across the line to ensure that he moves up through the order? Yes, bumps himself up into that top 10. He's into 7th position. Krzysztof Rulowski is going to also try and hammer it down. He is 0.2 faster than his personal best. Lucas Kolab and Paul Fenter, Camille Hassan, all currently up on their times. Glenn Smith up 1 second on his lap time, hoping to carry a little bit more momentum. Couple of drivers, unfortunately, not able to get times on the board, and that is Liam Smith, L. Perry, Elk Sky, has not got time on the board yet. Simon Kussat, along with Samuel Jordan and Chris Wall, Stephen Milano James, also trying to stand up on the top. But we're taking a look at Glenn Smith. Currently, 1.1 seconds up on his time, the 2ID 296. Driver hoping that he's going to carry just enough to get into that top 10. It's going to be a proper run across the line. It does so. Put himself into 5th place. That is all that's needed at the moment. But we're starting to see some varying performance from all our drivers. Some finding it a bit easier here around Spa. Others trying to push the limits of what they can do. Nico Lawrence going to go late on the brakes into the bus stop. Loses out a bit of time. We'll have to try and carry a lot of momentum up the road though. Then we have got Camille Hassan trying to carry a little bit more momentum as well. Currently 0.4 up, heading towards the bus stop. hoping to get into that top 10. Allen just losing it out there. So Frederico trying to gather a little bit more time. Dave Young, we haven't spoken too much about Dave Young at the moment. He is currently 0.3 up on his personal best, hoping to stay in for the fight. But Samuel Jordan and Chris Wall, and Stephen Milano James yet to put a timeout on the board there. Not ideal circumstances for them, but for Dave Young, he's currently 0.4 up on his last lap time. A 2:17.4 to beat, and that is done by the one and only Mahath Musa. Will anyone be able to get a little bit closer to him? Because he's going to be starting ahead of Christoph Peterson, leading the championship. But Sean Skitter going and backing him up. Michael Castro, Glenn Smith, Thomas Morton, along with Nico Lawrence, Lucas Collop, Lewis Knight, and Christoph Rolutsky are all trying to back each other up and get ready for a fight. Dave Young, though, going to carry the momentum through. Will he jump up with 0.6? And he comes across, doing his personal best, though, a 220.2, but not enough to jump him up through the order. Nicholas Porras, hoping that he can carry a lot more drive. Hard on the brakes, currently 0.1 up on his lap time. Paul Fenter, 0.2 up on his personal lap time. And Michael Castro coming up to the bus stop, though. On the anchors, swings the car in. They just go fast, a little bit deep into the bus stop. Lost a bit of time. Gets early on the power on the exit. Carrying 0.2 up on his personal best. Will it be enough to jump him up? And no, was not enough to go and move into that third place, but got 2:18.1. So definitely stepped up the pace. Got a personal best, but just not enough to move his way up through the order. So drivers are still out there. 3 minutes and 20 to go. Is Paul Fenter, who is currently 0.3, is second up on his personal best. Nicholas Porras, do apologize. And then we've got Terence Ferreira and Dave Young going to have a good go at him. So Dave Young hoping that he can carry a lot of momentum here. Terence Ferreira hoping that he can move his way up through the order. The Mustang, unfortunately, taking a little too much curb there. Will invalidate his lap time and drop him down the order. Darius, though, is currently 0.2 up. So keep an eye on this 488 driver. He is hoping to carry a lot of momentum up through Radeon. Rouge to Radeon, and now charging his way down. Darius, 0.2 of a second up. Spent 4 hours observing his competition from all across the globe in last night's endurance race that ERA was a part of. Now getting to see all the drivers putting it to work. Martin Spritzer of MB Simsport making his way through, currently 0.1 up on his personal best. Michael Castro 0.3 up, but Mahath Musa, who is out on track currently, 0.1 up on the entire field. He is only 0.007 behind Christoph Peterson. He's hoping that he could carry that little bit more momentum to just try and get back into that top spot. He doesn't want to lose out to Peterson at this point. And it's going to be an almighty fight on the way through. Going a little bit late under braking. Turns the car in. Swings it out. A little bit wide there. He is currently 0.1. Still faster than the rest of the field. Von Spritzer 0.2 up on his personal best. Will be keeping an eye out. Not to run too wide. Not to invalidate. Very, very close to the fringe of the circuit there. Christoph Peterson also feeling the threat, making his way around, currently 0.1 up on his personal best. So he's hoping to try and take away the gap that Mahath Musa will go and start to put on him as the lap times are coming down quite rapidly. Through Puon, through the double left-hander, Mahath Musa currently 0.2 up on the rest of the field. Does see that Nicholas Porras moving out of the way. So Nicholas in the Hartford Racing Aston Martin not going to be caught out, and currently the fight is between Mahath Musa and Darius as he comes through. Darius takes the top spot with a 2:17.3. Absolutely bang on, a great lap time set by Darius for his top spot, but will it be enough to carry that momentum through towards the sharp end of the field? Not going to be an easy one, so Darius hoping that he can carry that little bit more, as we see Mahath Musa currently 0.3 up on the rest of the field through Blanchemont, and now make his way to bus stop. It's going to be late on the anchors. Try and get that BMW just turned in. Understeer coming into effect. Ran out a little bit wide. tries to get back onto the power early enough. He wants to retake that top spot, comes across the line, puts himself into first place with only 0.1 of a second between himself and Darius at the moment. Sean Skitter running in fifth with Stephen Milano James trying to chase him down. Stephen runs out a little bit wide, tries to carry the momentum through, but many of the drivers just getting their last times in. Thomas Morton moves up to 9th position. Glenn Smith still trying to push a little bit more. Nico Lawrence hoping they can carry a bit more momentum, as we do see Chris Wall trying to put at least a time on the board now. Going and stretching up a little bit further, trying to get a bit closer to the rest of the field. Terence Ferreira needing to push himself a little bit more as well, as he's down towards bottom end, 23rd at the moment. The battle is still Darius and Mahath Musa going back and forth at the moment of who's being the fastest currently out on track. Mahath Musa will be stuck behind traffic as Darius comes across the line. He will be withholding that second place at the moment. So as our drivers push themselves that little bit more, Glenn Smith will be coming across the line, currently in 10th position, moves himself up into 9th with 0.3 up on his personal best. Will Krzysztof Rosalutsky go and get past and move up out of the 15th? Well, he's going to come across the line, 0.1 up on his last lap time, and just getting ahead of Lewis Knight on the way through. So Lewis Knight backing down to 15th position. Sean Skitter still trying to make his way around and keep the momentum going. Mahath Musa feeling the pressure though. He is now lifted off a little bit by the looks of it to just allow one of our Mercs to just battle his way through and keep it all together. So going to go late on the anchors and follow through. Mahath Musa trying to utilize a little bit of that slipstream. Comes across the line with a 2:17.307. Not faster than his last lap time. So, as we head back to the commentary box and take a look at our field, it's going to be a wild, wild ride, ladies and gentlemen, here at Server 1 for the ERA Sunday Championship Round 4 here at Spa. And as I said, quite a few of our drivers that you see here tonight coming off the back of a 4-hour endurance race as well here at Spa, with mixed conditions, wet weather racing, dry weather racing, that they had to work their way through. We're going to see what everyone is going to be capable of as we get ready to rock, roll, and rumble here at Spa as we wait to go racing once again. It is going to be a proper charge for our drivers as we take a look to our Diamond and Platinum ready to go, ready to have a bit of fun out here for some fun. Gotta say, super excited about this one, but we do have our live timing out for Server 1. That's for everyone who wants to go and take a look at all the racing, be a part of it, and also see who you are going to keep an eye out on. So take a look to our virtual grandstands though. It is absolutely tremendous to see you all here, especially for round 4. This is going to be a proper chase for our drivers, hoping to get that top end and ensure that they stay right into the fight. 7 rounds in this championship. We've got to be aware of it for the ERA Sunday Championship Season 11. Can you believe it? Ladies and gentlemen, absolutely amazing to see a championship going on for so long and sticking around for quite some time. As we get ready to go, we'll be taking a look down to the grid. Now drivers will be lining up to get themselves all organized. We'll go to Tim in the helicam and give us a good a little bit of sight of our cars lined up. And there they are. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, our GT3s lined up for round 4. And it is looking absolutely menacing out there. Getting some beautiful shots from all our drivers getting ready to rock and roll as they stare down to the dreaded Eau Rouge, where you can really lose out. Lots of pressure going to come to Mahaith Musa and Darius. Remember, we did get the huge bomb drop last race, which was last week. We had Darius saying that he is moving up back into where he needs to be, and will be trying to take the fight in the championship, carrying a bit of his points to the diamond status. So Darius will be relieving his spot, and Glenn Smith will be moving up to take that top spot of our platinum. So Darius has got a huge amount of pressure as current leader of the championship is the likes of Christoph Peterson, hoping to run away. Then Sean Skitter, hoping to keep in the mix. Michael Castro is first to try and get the run. Had a Guinness, and now he is looking to set a Guinness World Record by launching his way ahead of Paul the Wolf Enter as they stare down. Paul the Wolf Enter going and doing a bit of work on the car, hoping that the Aston Martin will be able to claw his way up through the field. Then we've got Stephen Milano James, Martin Spritzer in the Lamborghini staring them down. Glenn Smith for 2ID will be concentrating to move up through the order. But while we wait to get going, you'll see that there's a time penalty being added to the cars. Now Darius holding 10 seconds, and this is a success penalty. So the better you do, the more you get a penalty for the next round. So Darius will have 10 seconds to serve in his pit stop. So will Christoph Peterson have a 15-second added to his stop. Paul Fenter, who is a little bit down the order, will have 5 seconds. Martin Spritzer will have 15 seconds as well. And the time penalties do add up and become a little bit more of a problem for our drivers. Nico Lawrence sitting with 5 seconds, while Sky is sitting with 10 seconds. Lucas Kolb will be sitting with 10 seconds, and Lewis Knight with 15 seconds. Now, we've all enjoyed the racing a little bit towards the start of the field, well, start of the season, and now we're going and doing something incredibly different. We have actually stretched the time to 1 hour and 30 minutes. Yes, you heard me right. 1 hour and 30 minutes around Spa-Francorchamps to go and ensure the drivers are going to really battle it out here tonight. A extra long run to what we have been having, and that means instead of having one pit stop, our drivers will have to have 2 pit stops to get it done and dusted. How do you go and count for a pit stop? Well, you got to put at least 1 liter of fuel in your car. So you come in, stop in your box, up, 1 liter of fuel in, down and go. That counts as a pit stop. If you can't get that done and dusted, if you go and miss a line in the box, you will end up losing that. Well, you'll have to reserve that pit stop, which means you will have 2 left on or 1 left on that you're going to have to serve, making it 3 times getting into the box. But our drivers now getting ready to go, and it will be all eyes to Mahaith Musa at the start of the field. So let's go and take a look for the ERA Sunday Championship, and all eyes towards Mahaith Musa starting in first place, Darius running in second place, Christoph Peterson in third, Sean Skitter in fourth, Michael Castro in fifth, Paul Fenter in sixth, Stephen Milano James, Martin Spritzer, Glenn Smith, and followed by Thomas Martin. Elk Sky will be able to make his way through, so keep an eye on Elk Sky. He's hoping to carry a little bit more pace with him after giving a bit of a driver's briefing as well. Nico Lawrence running in 12th, 13th, Lucas Kolb. Christoph Roloski will be running in 14th, 15th, Lewis Knight. Liam Smith in 16th, Simon Kusat running in 17th position, Frederico Calgro in 18th, Camille Hassan running in 19th, and Scott Reynolds in 20th. Chris Wall running 21st, Terence Ferreira, Nicholas Porras, David Roth, along with Dave Young and Samuel Jordan running at the back of the field, will be looking to launch his way up in the Lexus. Got to say, absolutely stunning to hear the Lexus shouting its way through. But Mahaith Musa has got the pressure added onto him, hasn't got a time penalty like Darius and Christoph behind him due to the fact that he had a little bit of a rough race last round. So he's hoping that he can just carry the momentum through and ensure he can stay within the fight. So our drivers will be hoping to go and battle out. So Mahath Musa and Darius will be looking to get them towards sharp end. And Christoph Peterson running in third, looking to get some valuable points and hoping they can keep ahead of Sean Skitter. Going to be backing him up in the McLaren. New colours on the cars by a variety of different new sponsors jumping on board with each of these teams, even the old ones going and just getting some new looks. Glenn Smith in the 2ID car, looking to carry a lot of momentum through as he looks to try and move his way up through the order. So the 2ID 296 will be trying to get the run. Stephen Milano James running in 7th position. We'll be keeping a very close eye on Paul Fenter in the Banana Express. Going back to his original yellow colours, saying that it was a bit more healthy for competition. It was a bit easier to make it, and a bit of a thought that comes through the mind of the drivers is colours and the way the cars are styled. A lot of, well, superstition comes to be a matter of fact. We'll take Mahath Musa, for example. Been in the BMW for quite some time, knows the car very, very well, but purple's always been his iconic colour. As soon as he started switching away from it, said that it just didn't quite feel like home. He didn't quite feel as comfortable in the car, not only because the look was different and the fuel was the same, but just didn't quite feel like his car. So he's back to the purple for the duration of the season, but at one point he was in a very sun-bleached red car that was not very pleasant to look at, I can tell you that. His team later going and swapping out from it. So, as they line up 70 kilometers an hour, Mahath Musa and Darius getting ready to go side by side, and at 70 kilometers an hour they will back each other up, back the entire field to make their way through the bus stop, nice and gentle around, try and get the momentum. You want to stay within the blocks. Mahath Musa will lead the charge, and Sean Skitter really trying to figure out where to go. Paul Fenter hanging right onto the back of his teammates as Darius actually going and backing the drivers up quite a bit on the way through. You can see everyone just slamming on the anchors, trying to warm up those brakes as hard as possible, try and warm up the tires, utilizing the brake drag. But it's 17 degrees out on track, and it is going to be very, very dark towards the sharp end of the field because we're at 17 minutes past 5. We're expecting it to get very, very late, and drivers are going to have to punch through the night. So, cold weather, nighttime, going to be the first for our drivers as they got themselves lined up. Mahath Musa out in first place, Darius in second place. Who's going to have the run down towards Eau Rouge as they make their way through? And Greenlight Racing, and so far Mahath Musa getting a great run. Cuts off the nose of Darius, launches his way up, and Christoph Peterson keeping ahead of Sean Skitter as a couple of cars, Lucas Collab being one of them, who's dropping off the track along with Lewis Knight, Liam Smith, all going and falling off the circuit ever so slightly through Eau Rouge, not having as much grip, as we do see the drivers jockeying for position. Paul Fenter got a bit of a problem as Stephen looks up on the inside. Stephen then loses out the momentum, suddenly has Martin all over him. Martin in the green Lamborghini trying to go around the outside to get it going, but Sean Skitter has a drive-through penalty. That's let you know about that one. Oh, as Martin into the back, properly turning around Stephen, who is now facing a wrong direction properly at this point and will be falling down the order. Christoph Peterson losing track of Darius at the moment. Sean Skitter going and keeping an eye on Michael Castro. Remember, Michael has no penalties to serve. He's got no drive-through for Sean Skitter. Not only has he got to go and pit twice, he has to serve his drive-through as well. That means a total of 3 times he's going to be visiting the pits. And unfortunately, that is for jumping the start. Now let's see if Paul Fenter, his teammate, will be able to close up that gap, get onto the back of Michael Castro and hope to get past. Glenn Smith has got Thomas Morton all over the back of him. Lucas Collop will be getting on the power as early as he can, trying to carry as much pace through the corners. He's got 5 seconds to burn on his pit stop. Martin Spritzer, after an earlier contact, now trying to bring himself back. And we've got Sky trying to make his way around. Got to look around the outside, can't get it all hooked in. Good to see the Lexus returning after quite some time. And Sky has been out of racing for a little bit of time as well. So he's been just waiting on the sidelines, keeping an eye. Haven't seen him this season. He's hoping that he can carry the momentum through. He's got Nico Lawrence all over the back of him, who is more than happy to try and take a spot away. David Roth onto the back of Chris Wall, losing out that little bit of time. Suddenly has Liam Smith all over the back of him as we see Nico Polos goes and gets turned round. Camille Hassan as well getting into that mix as we see our first set of drivers diving into the pit. So Nicholas getting turned round Nicholas actually turning Camille around in that last little run. So let's go back a little bit and let's see where it all went wrong for our drivers. Nicholas trying to go around, suddenly sees Camille lining up. No, Camille was actually the first instigator of this. Nope, never mind. Nicholas outbraked himself and then into the rear of the likes of Camille. Turns him around. Camille's going to try and come back at him, but definitely not going to be a happy camper after that one. Caught out on the start. Lost that little bit of time and now has to try and make some away. David Roth pointing the wrong way around, and he had a bit of contact with Liam Smith by the looks of it. So the 727 not having an easy time out there. Let's go and take a look at the Ferrari, the 727, and Liam Smith hoping to try and get past. Liam's going to go a little bit later on the brakes. Dives for the inside line, very far back to try and get it all hooked in, and suddenly nowhere to go. David gets a slight bit of contact onto the back of his Ferrari as we do see one of the cars just going off into the dirt and off to oblivion at this point. So, bit of an action-packed start of the race as Thomas Morton keeps ahead of Lucas Collop now. Lucas trying to carry as much momentum as possible, trying to carry as little downforce on these cars as needed. They're hoping for a lot of top end. And the only way you're going to do that is by flattening the wings out and ensuring that you don't have any aero drag on the car. In other words, when we're talking about aero drag, we're talking about the pressure that you usually have from airflow. Goes over onto the front splitter, onto the rear wing, and onto the rear through the diffuser and the rear splitter. That compresses the car. The faster you go, the more the air goes over the car, the more it compresses. But the problem is it does slow you down in the process. So it's a bit of give or take on it. Here at Spa, a lot of drivers prefer to go and flatten everything out so you have less aerodynamic drag on you and you can get 1 or 2 extra kilometers in terms of speed. A lot of drivers actually go and flatten it out right to about 0, and that does carry at least, I would say, a 5 to 10 kilometer difference. As we do see one of the cars has Paul Fenter into the wall. Paul Fenter gets it horribly wrong at the top of Eau Rouge. Now Thomas Morton trying to get past Glenn Smith, and I'm sure Glenn had a slight lift seeing the Yellow Banana Express Aston Martin in the wall. And suddenly Thomas goes for the pass, outbrakes himself. Glenn trying to come back at him. Side by side they go. Lucas trying to get into the mix here. Now Lucas around the outside of Glenn Smith gets forced out wide. Glenn is not going to back down from that one. Wasn't going to lose out 2 positions on the way through. He keeps Lucas at bay. That's allowed Martin to get into the fray of things. But Thomas did not hang around to get past and tried going and literally barging the door open at this point to keep the likes of Glenn Smith at bay. So Glenn Smith looking to try and get some momentum. I see Paul Fenter just trying to drag the car back, properly broken for the 420 car. And he just wants to get it to the end. Let's see if we can go back a little bit and find out where exactly it all went wrong for him. So, on board with him, heading up to Eau Rouge. All looking well from the onboards. Turns it in. It takes a little bit too much on the right hand side. You can see tried turning away from the wall. Unfortunately, smashes the car up to pieces. So you can see fighting with the car just to even get it to turn at this point as he makes his way through Puan. Not an easy time out there for likes of Paul Venter. Dave Young pulling into the pits. Camille Hassan still on the charge. He's onto the back of Blake Moore. Now, Blake Moore is a driver I do want to touch on. Was racing in the 4-hour that finished up in the early hours of this morning. And he actually raced in the Lamborghini for nearly about the entire 4-hour stint. He switched back over to his usual car, which is the Mustang, having a bit of fun out there. But Camille Hassan says thank you very much, gets past done, and looks to try and carry his way through. So remember, a lot of these drivers that have done the race in the 4-hour endurance race and more have already stretched their legs a little bit too far now. They're starting to feel a bit more tired, a bit more worn out, and not quite having their eyes in where they needed to be, as Lucas Collop looks on the inside of Glenn Smith. Couldn't quite get the pass done, making their way up through Radeon. Now giving it to absolute horns. Lucas will try and get as much momentum heading into turn 3. Looks for the corner, couldn't quite get his nose in. Backs out of it, but a little bit too much. Allows Martin to pull him in. Interesting enough, though, we got to talk about our pit stops. Because it's an hour and 30 minutes worth of racing, we have got 2 mandatory pit stops that need to be served. And so far, a couple of drivers have managed to get those pit stops done and dusted, like Terence Ferreira, Dave Young. They've already got 1 stop underneath their belt, so they can carry up and moving forward. Where others, like Paul Venter, is due to damage, so not really what he wanted. Sean Skitter coming out of the pits, trying to get himself going. But I do want to touch on this. Sean Skitter did not go and get himself sorted out properly, because he still has got 2 mandatory pit stops. 2 reasons that come from this. One, he didn't put 1 liter of fuel in the car, or second is he did not get into the box correctly. When you go and pull into your pit box here on Assetto Corsa Competizione, you've got this red square that you have to line your car up and get it directly in the red square. If you're slightly to the left of it, slightly to the right of it, slightly forward or slightly back, it will jack your car up, move you forward, drop you down, or move you into that square. As we do see, that is Glenn Smith all over the back of Darius, losing track. So Glenn Smith in the 296 Ferrari gets Lucas on the back of him, Darius into the pits. And we do see Martin also diving into the pits. Once again, got to park it in the square, gets jacked up, put 1 liter of fuel in and get going. But Lucas on a absolute charge at the moment. Nico Lawrence and Simon Kissart trying to make their way through. And then we have got Mr. Sky himself getting the pass done on Scott Reynolds. The Sauer boys hoping to really get a little bit more pace underneath him for the Mustang, chasing down the old V8 that everyone used to love. And that was the big Lexus ahead of him. Well, I would say big Lexus. We're essentially got a big block V8 in the Mustang GT3 Evo, trying to keep ahead of the small block of the Lexus V8. We do see Scott trying to look for the inside line. Sky going and defending. Switch to the outside just to force the likes of Reynolds onto the inside line. Unfortunately, can't quite brake as hard as he wants to. Mustang's got in here and oversteer to it, or understeer, and can't really get into the corners to the best of its liking. So, with so far 10 minutes done and dusted, let's go through our running order. Mahath Musa out in first place, Christoph Peterson running in second, Michael Castro in third place with Thomas Morton in fourth. Fifth place is Glenn Smith with Lucas Kellop right behind him. Nico Lawrence in seventh. Eighth place is Simon Cossett, and then Ike Sky in ninth. 10th place is Scott Reynolds, Federico Calgero trying to chase him down in 11th. 12th, Stephen Milano James, Liam Smith, Camille Hassan, Blake Moore running in 15th. Nicholas Polos going and make his way. He's in 16th position onto the back of Blake Moore. David Roth in 17th, Sean Skitter. Then we've got a couple of cars in the pits. Martin Spritzer, Darius in the pits as well. Dave Young trying to get himself going. Terence Ferreira, who's done a pit stop. He's got side by side with his long-term friend, Mahath Musa. Two of them have been racing from Monday Night Racing here in South Africa, and still having a huge amount of fun. Samuel Jardine running in 23rd, 24th Lewis Knight, and Christoph Rohitsky going and making his way through, still with one of the best liveries in my personal opinion, the Holland Knight, going and making his way through. Interesting enough though, as we see Sky and Reynolds fighting it out side by side, we do have a very interesting guest going and keeping an eye on the track, and that is Paul the Wall Venter, who, well, we did see was involved in a monster accident at the start, and hopefully we'll get him back on track. If not, we're going to see if we can have a chat to him in our commentary box. Hopefully he's going to get back out on circuit, but we'll have to find out. As we see Lucas Kolob though, oh man, he's a little bit on the slow side, trying to get himself going. And I think that car took a bit of an impact. Number 47 not having an easy time out there, so let's go and take a look at the yellow flag for the number 47, Lucas Kolob, as he makes his way around the circuit, going up towards Eau Rouge, giving it absolute horns at this point. Makes it up the hill. Oh, snap oversteer into the wall, bouncing back and sliding his way down the wall. Not an easy time. Blake Moore also turned around in the Mustang, dropping a wheel on the dirt, and now just trying to get himself sorted. Hopefully they got his sim sorted. He had stutters and stops the whole time around. Ended up getting caught up quite badly. Scott Reynolds going off to the back of Sky ahead of him, and really looking to close down. So Sky in the Lexus, the small block, hoping they can carry a lot more momentum through the order. We'll be trying to push it on that little bit more. Taking a look at our field though, it has slimmed down to 25 cars, and I do think we have had a couple of retirements, including Paul Venter, who was seemingly one of the retirees. Unfortunately, maybe that car got a little bit too dinged to be able to get back in and driving once again. So we'll wait for a bit of confirmation there from the Logistical Nightmare Racing pits, whether they have retired the car due to too much damage or whether they're able to get it out once again. I hope the latter is more true than the former. As Lucas Kolob pulls into the pits, he's going to be serving his 5 seconds plus a bit of repair time to the car and serving his pit stop. So definitely not ideal circumstances there for him on the way through. He's going to have to keep that well in mind. Camille Sun, 1.3 seconds behind Liam Smith as it stands. Stephen Milano James is currently a second behind Scott Reynolds, who is only 0.8 of a second behind Sky. And then we've got Simon Kussert trying to also close up the gap, looking to try and get right into that slipstream, lying in 7th position. 1.5 seconds behind Nico Lawrence on the way through. Interesting enough though, Darius has done his pit stop, served his time, and is now back out and going. He's going to be keeping a very close eye, unlike Sir Christoph Peterson, who has still got 15 seconds on the cards for him. But take a look at all our cars that have so far done their first pit stop, and that the only one that has counted is Spritzer, who has done his first stop. Everyone else is yet to get their stops done and dusted. From Sean Skitter, who we did see exit pits, unfortunately didn't get to do it properly, and he lost out. As we do see Stephen Milano James get on the inside of the Sour Boys of Mr. Reynolds himself. Reynolds needs to serve 5 seconds. Sky will need to also serve a good couple of seconds. That's 10 seconds. But Stephen Milano James trying to make his way through. Blake Moore turned around and unfortunately pointing the wrong way yet again. We saw this last night for the 46 car, where he landed up facing the wrong way. So this is under braking onto the dirt, trying to bring it all the way back, getting pressure put on him by the Aston Martin of Porras. Porras just getting past, as we do see Blake Moore overcooked it and went round and round and round. Also giving a bit of an odd move there, so that does tell me he's having a bit of technical difficulties with his car, but not giving up just as yet. Liam Smith hoping to get on the back of Camille Sun. And Scott Reynolds and Stephen Milano James. Lucas Collop coming out of the pits. He will be getting right next to McGuinness of Michael Castro, who launches by. So Michael hoping they can keep up the momentum. Currently lying in third. Has got Christoph Peterson ahead of him. He remembers that Christoph has got 15 seconds to deal with, as we do see that might have been Terence Ferreira. Yes, it was, who decided to outbrake himself properly. Lands off into the weeds. Now has to try and bring himself back from the brink and chase down Lucas Collop ahead of him. He's currently 1.8 seconds ahead of him. So, drivers already starting to feel the pressure. Blake Moore once again stopping off on the circuit, having a bit of a rough time out there. We'll have drivers starting to come through and see the yellow flags. Now, the first one will be Martin Spritzer for position. So, Martin's going to gain a lot of time right now, and I do think he will actually get the pass successfully done over Blake Moore. And Blake Moore now towed back to pits. So Blake Moore has gone back to pits. Sean Skitter, though, where on earth did the number 13 car go? Going and doing a bit of a U-turn at the top of the hill. Let's actually go and take a look. Jump on board the Helicam with Tim as he makes his way up the hill through Eau Rouge, through the left-hander, quick right, taking a little bit too much curb. Same as we saw with Paul Fenter. He has that snap oversteer, turn round, rear contact to the wall, and then able to turn himself around. So he's got some major damage to the back end of that car. And Spa is not leaving any cars in peace at the moment. All having some real breakdowns on the way through. Getting some successful damage to the back of the cars, front of the cars, every which way they can. And this is why that we have got all the cars needing to battle it out with even the toughest conditions. But it's usually the easiest that gets us caught out. Our drivers on a bit of a cold circuit at the moment, but Spa, despite being a circuit that most of these drivers know like the back of their hand, others going and pushing the boundaries, thinking that 1 or 2 kilometers faster, as we see Stephen Milano, James King pass Alex Sky and leaves Sky behind, hopes to carry on the momentum. Lucas Collop coming out of the pits. He will be seeing the drivers coming through. Starting off with our 2ID Ferrari as they make their way through. I think that was Glenn Smith. Yes, it was. Glenn Smith in the 777. Now trying to keep his momentum, running in 5th place at the moment as our drivers carve their way through the field. Looking for a bit of a run at the moment. Who's going to be able to get that quicker lap time? Who's going to be able to stay at the top of the field? Sky missing the corner by a huge margin. Rejoins nearly at a 90-degree angle there. A little bit on the rougher side, but battling with the Lexus at the moment. Just not able to get the grip down as much as one would like, and having that little bit of a difficult time out on the track, hoping that maybe, just maybe, they can get that little bit further up the road. So, on our drivers, really battling it out for the circuit. And at the moment, we have got Sky, Reynolds, Calgary, and Hassan each going and keeping themselves very honest at the moment, battling their way through, seeing who will be able to get the climb, who's going to move their way back up through the order, as our drivers try and carry the momentum through a little bit more, hoping it's going to be enough. Hassan keeping the pressure on Federico, will be constantly pushing onto the back of that Lamborghini, hoping that the rotation, naturally Lamborghinis have a lot of rear rotation, so if you want to go and pressurize the driver to just turn in a little bit more, or even the biggest part for the mid-engines is to get them to lift ever so slightly through the corner, especially if the diff is set a little bit too high, because that causes the rear to snap out underneath them on lift-off oversteer instead of on power oversteer. So bear that in mind, knowing your competitor's car's characteristics. Example like Federico going after Reynolds in the Mustang when you know understeers, and now Reynolds giving a bit of room, trying to just close the nose. Federico pushed against the wall, trying to get past. Not an easy time there. Camille will be pushing to try and get that pass done and dusted. carrying the momentum as we do go on board. This is off the front splitter, trying to carry as much momentum up through Eau Rouge. 0-0 lift for him and Frederico. As we go inside the car, you can see that mirror on the left hand side, the central mirror, going and showing Frederico going for the pass, and Frederico getting a little bit of a lift causes Camille Hassan to get by. So Camille actually had an easy run there, and I wonder if Frederico goes, I thought a little bit ahead then, said maybe, just maybe, I'm going to just stretch it out a little bit more, hope to get the drive a little bit more in tow. So Camille gets past, will put the pressure onto Reynolds, but Frederico, on the other hand, has now given the opportunity to just get towed along. So, running order as it stands, Mahath Musa in first place, Christoph Peterson running in second. Third is Michael Castro, Thomas Morton, Glenn Smith, and Nico Lawrence. Simon Kussert going and chasing him down in seventh. Eighth is Stephen Milano James. Ike Sky running in ninth, but he's still got 10 seconds that he needs to serve when he does his pit stop. Then we've got Scott Reynolds, who needs to serve 5 seconds. He's getting a lot of pressure put on him as Camille Hassan in the Merc. Remember, Camille was part of an earlier contact into the bus stop, was turned round, and now has to try and make his way back through the order. He's trying to claw his way back into that top 10. He's got to get past Reynolds at the moment. Reynolds for the Sour Boys, or Sour.gg, will have to try and carry a lot of momentum through Blanchemont, heading towards the bus stop. Camille looking for the inside, goes for a late lunge, trying to get it all booked in. Second gear, straighten up to the steering, causes Reynolds to go and brake a little bit later, and unfortunately that killed off a lot of his drives, allows Frederico to immediately get on to the back of him. So Frederico, hoping they can carry a lot of drive on the way through, will be moving up through the order. If he can get that pass done and dusted, Reynolds is not going to make it easy as they chase their way up. So, running order, Mahath Musa, Christoph Peterson, Michael Castro, Thomas Morton, Glenn Smith, Nico Lawrence in 6th, Simon Kussert, followed by Stephen Milano James, Alex Sky running in 9th, 10th place, Camille Hassan, Scott Reynolds along with Frederico, now gaining a lot of time in 12th place as he looks to try and close up. Under braking into turn 3, going to go for a very late lunge, but second guesses that option. Liam Smith running in 13th, Nicholas Porras in 14th, David Roth coming out of pit lane, he's in 15th, Sean Skitter in 16th. Then we move on to those that have completed their first pit stop. Martin Spritzer is running in 17th position, getting chased down by Dave Young. Darius, who didn't get to serve his penalty. He served his penalty, but didn't serve his pit stop. Jumps out of the way, sees Mahath Musa coming at him. Mahath Musa, a quick flash on the lights, saying he's going to come by quite quickly. Darius not backing down from the fight, though. Will be just carrying a bit more momentum into Blanchemont. More than what Mahath Musa really wanted there. Terence Ferreira running in 20th, along with Lucas Collop, Samuel Jodin and Lewis Knight in 23rd. Christopher Rodsky going and making up that little bit of time as well. So our drivers hoping that they can carry a lot of momentum through who's going to be able to stand at the top of the charts. Many are going to start to question this because let's revisit what our championship is. It's a 7-round championship. We're on to round 4. So you got 3 more races after this to try and get valuable points to move your way up through the order. So, things that you want to do during the course of this championship is not only to win your class, but you're looking to improve. So you start out in the bronze, you then move yourself up to silver, gold, into diamond and platinum, or platinum then diamond. And you're just hoping to keep that climb. We do have here at ERA, we love teaching, we love going and ensuring drivers learn their craft from the pure basics of how to turn the car on to how to really just keep going. So many of our drivers will be looking to upgrade their licenses that's here at ERA, and that is purely based on performance, what your times are looking like. What's your safety rating in terms of are you keeping on track? Are you taking the right amount of corners? Are you not having accidents like what Terence Ferreira's got right now, who is pointing really the wrong way for that 994 Mustang, and he actually toes back to the pits, not seeing an easy way to get himself restarted. Let's take a look at what happened to Terence Ferreira, carrying the momentum. Did the rear snap out, touches the curb ever so slightly, nothing too bad there. Oh, just has the rear step out and boop, into the wall. Now is on a bit of an awkward spot. They can't actually reverse without getting into the racing line and causing more impedance there. So he actually decides he's going to rather get towed back to pits, and it looks like they may have called it quits on the Mustang. Liam Smith running in 13th position, trying to close up the gap to Federico at the moment as they make their way through. Federico hoping they can just carry the Lamborghini a little bit more up the road. Will be feeling the pressure from fellow classmate Liam Smith at the moment. Liam will be trying to keep on the back of that Lamborghini and try and get past, because remember, he's got to catch up to Reynolds at the moment for that 5-second penalty to be a big play for their pit stops, because Reynolds will have to need serve that during the course of one of his 2 stops that they have to do during the course of the evening. We do know that the pit stops is within the pit window of 1 hour and 1 minute, where our race is 1 hour and 2 minutes to go. So you have plenty of time to serve both pit stops. Liam Smith around the outside. Federico trying to battle him back though, not getting it done. Look to possibly go for the pit lane, as he does see that Simon Kussert and Camille Hassan have pulled into the pits. Also Reynolds is into the pits. So quite a few drivers getting themselves done and dusted. They'll keep an eye out though on where Martin Spritzer is, because at the moment he is the only driver that has completed their first pit stop. Everyone else, other than Lucas Kolb, Dave Young, Jardine, Knight, and Rolutsky, are still trying to keep themselves going in this mix. Unfortunately for the likes of Sean Skitter, who did get himself in the pits but wasn't able to serve the pits correctly, will need to get himself in for 2 more stops, making it going up to 3 stops all told. Liam Smith carrying the momentum. Federico trying to come back at him as they maneuver their way through. Drivers all serving their pit stops. Reynolds will be serving his 5 seconds. Mahath Musa keeping ahead of Christoph Peterson. Remember, Christoph, when he pulls in, has got 15 seconds due to the success penalty that is out on him. Lawrence and Sky will also need to serve their stops, as they'll be the only 3 cars out there that are yet to serve their pit stop. So the driver's going to have to keep that in mind at the moment on the way through. Properly trying to get a bit of run with one another. Lewis Knight hoping to close up to Samuel Jardine at the moment. Not going to be an easy one, hoping they can just keep the momentum up at this point as they battle their way around the circuit. Samuel Jardine with Lewis Knight trying to go late on the brakes to try and bring that car back. A lot of these drivers will be also thinking about their drop routes and where they want to be during the course of it, as we see Michael Castro now pulling into the pits out of the top 5. Thomas Martin, though, is going to carry on the momentum in the Mustang. Michael Castro gets passed by Glenn Smith, and I do think Nico Lawrence will also be getting that getting a gain off that pit stop. Nico still needing to serve the 10 seconds, so he's looking for every little bit of edge possible on his drive to the sharp end of the field, with Stephen Milano James not too far behind in the Porsche, the 246. The Porsche chasing him down. That is the 992 GT3R Porsche, one of the new ones for the Flying Lizard Motorsports, and hoping that the Flying Lizard can get a bit more wings and close down that gap as quick as possible, as Michael Castro also getting overtaken by Federico Calgero. So Federico Calgero hoping that he can close up to Liam Smith, the 2ID Matty ERA BMW just up the road from him. As we have completed our 30 minutes, we're down into the hour mark for our drivers. So still lots to go on here. Track has improved, 18 degrees track temperature as it stands. that is a big help for all those that are worrying about their pit stops and how are they going to go on the way through. Going to be a bit of a difficult time. You're going to have to really start weighing up the pros and cons of where you need to be. Darius getting onto the back of Simon will look to try and close down. Simon looking to defend against Darius, who still has 2 more stops to go. Darius actually getting a huge tank slapper out of Blanchmont. Loses out a little bit of time, goes late on the anchors to just try and bring that 488 Ferrari Evo back under control as he catches up to the Audi R8 ahead of him. Michael Castro, though, coming out of the pits. We saw Sean Skitter getting back into the pits. He's looking to try and serve his pit stop. Lewis Knight, though, is putting a bit of pressure on Samuel Jardine at the moment. So Samuel feeling the pressure. Lewis Knight in the Nissan GTR. It's a beautiful, beautiful monster V6 twin turbocharged Godzilla that went and made headway in the PlayStation colors years back when it stole the victory from Audi at the Bathurst 1000, and it has been quite a formidable car to actually have around, and also one of the largest vehicles out on track. Second to it would be the Mustang. The Mustang is also quite a hefty beast of a vehicle when you line them side by side. So the Nissan, the original monster, looking to try and get past one of the small monsters in the Lexus. And we're going to see 2 iconic Japanese brands, the Lexus and the Nissan, racing together. Lexus small block V8 is what everyone wants to have in their vehicles. A potent, powerful, small engine that is also brilliant in fuel saving, has proven itself to be some of the strongest that you can do, and also easy for parts. Lewis Knight in the Nissan GTR looks up on the inside. He's on the marble, so he's going to have to brake on the rubber, though. He's going to get a little bit unsteady there. Lack of grip. Just couldn't get his nose in. Gets it pressured out of the way. Samuel not backing down from that fight. Carries on the momentum. What a run. But Lewis did put his nose in there. Showed intent. The Good Smile Racing not going to be smiling too much right now as Samuel going and keeping him at bay. Tries to get a little bit more momentum. Mayath Musa coming out of the pits. He was charging at the sharp end of the field. He is now first of those that have served his pit stop, getting ahead of Michael Castro. And Sky will be sitting and waiting at the moment. So Castro will be running in a net second place behind Mahath Musa, who not only is in net first place, but does hold the fastest lap time of the race thus far. He's sitting within that top 10, and it's just enough to try and make a bit of momentum. As we see Liam Smith trying to make his way around, quick yellow flags flash up for him, dropping a wheel off on the dirt. He's trying to carry on as much momentum as he's got Federico onto the back of him. And Federico is not going to make it easy for the FC Racing. Lamborghini needs to try and move up. It's the running of the bulls right behind the one and only BMW. Lewis Knight up on the inside of Samuel Jordan as they're going to make their way into Blanchmont. Side by side is going to be brave, and it does look like Samuel Jordan just comes across the nose of Lewis Knight right on the way through. These two are absolutely going hammer and tongs at the moment. Samuel Jordan not backing down from Lewis Knight, who is really on that huge run. And we do see Cossack in behind them, the Audi R8. Nico Lawrence into the pits, going and serving up his pit stop. The Enduro pit here at Spa is terribly long. It is definitely one that you will fall over of old age before you even get to the top of Eau Rouge to get to pit exit. Samuel Jordan keeping ahead. Lewis Knight keeping nice and close. Will keep pressure up Eau Rouge, hoping they can carry a lot of momentum through. Looking to go side by side once again as Samuel goes on the defensive, holds the inside line, middle of the circuit now. Samuel hoping that he can keep the likes of Lewis Knight at bay. Lewis is going to have a little bit more gap on the inside. Tries to go for the launch. Couldn't get it done. And Don Lexus is so brilliant on the brakes. He's able to get that car back up together. Samuel Kissett, though, not going to be a happy camper for the Audi R8. We did see he was cruising around the background, but unfortunately pointing the wrong way. So what happened to Samuel? I do think maybe he came out a little bit too quick. He's onto the back of Darius that's ahead of him. So Darius in the 488. Now getting chased down by Simon Kusat. So Simon, gets a tank, slapper, turn round. A slight impact with the wall, nothing bad. But Simon having to now get that car pointed out. As we go back to the ongoing battle, Lewis Knight and Samuel having a good go at one another. Lewis looking once again to try to go late on the anchors. Couldn't quite get the pass done and dusted. Waits it out just that little bit longer behind Samuel. But the frustration is starting to show on the likes of Knight's face as he tries to hunt down the pass of Samuel just ahead of him. And unfortunately, Lewis Knight getting it all wrong. That little snap oversteer dropped him down. So our drivers now hoping that they can carry a lot of momentum at the moment. Frederico looking to move his way up. Sean Skitter getting the pass down on Lewis Knight. Frederico will look to try and get a little bit more momentum as we see Reynolds getting past Nico Lawrence as they exit. Christoph Peterson now into the pits, and he will serve his first pit stop plus serve that 15-second success penalty. And his eyes are going to be on where Mahiath Musa is at the moment, because Mahiath Musa is coming through Blanchmont into that long left-hander and will be looking towards the bus stop. And Mahiath Musa will move up ahead of Christoph Peterson. Once again, the two of them are fighting for the championship in points for season 11 here at ERA Sunday Championships. And folks, I really do suggest, if you want to have some fun, where you get to learn a lot, come and join the ERA Discord. But also, if you wish to race against some of the best in the world, you got to join up on the Sunday nights. We do have plenty of other racing during the course of the week, and we have some GT4 action, but a GT3, maybe once or twice we do bring out the GT2s that so many people fear. Mahiath Musa gets past Christoph Peterson. That will move him up into 7th position, and Mahiath Musa in for a bit of a gain. Frederico onto the back of Leon Smith, not able to get the drive, losing out a bit of time. But we do have one of our drivers actually here in the pits with us. As we see Darius getting a drive-through penalty, and that is going to be for stretching the gap a little bit more. So let's actually bring up one of the drivers to have a chat to us. And this is Cornelius, who we'll bring up to have a chat if he so wishes. So the option is there for Cornelius, or is just keeping an eye on the action. I think possibly just keeping an eye on everything that is going on. All right, Liam Smith trying to keep ahead of Frederico, but Darius, who has had an up and down battle at this point, trying to figure out where he can go. Darius started out in 2nd place, folks. He is now down 16 positions from where he started, same as Sean Skitter. But Sean Skitter has served his first pit stop. He's got Samuel Jordan onto the back of him, and Jordan is fighting Lewis Knight at the same time. Lewis up on the inside, goes for a pass, couldn't get it done. Samuel trying everything he can to just defend as they caught up to Sean Skitter, who caused a bit of a concertina effect. Jordan really having to keep an eye out on what's being done here. Lewis Knight will capitalize on any moment of weakness as it stands. We do see Darius now exiting the pits. He has served his drive-through penalty, but will still need to go and get his 2 pit stops out the way. Darius has been in the pits thus far 2 times, and both times is not to serve his penalty. Lewis Knight dives up around the outside. Samuel, once again, moving middle of the circuit, does lean onto the left-hand side, forcing Lewis Knight to just come off the throttle ever so slightly as they make their way into turn 3, turn 4. And Samuel really keeping that Lexus ahead of Lewis Knight on the way through. But so far, we have had 40 minutes of racing, and it's been incredible. But let's go through our running order now that the pit stops are starting to happen, and our top 6 yet to still do their pit stops. It's Thomas Martin, along with Glenn Smith, Stephen Milano, James, Liam Smith, and Frederico Calgaro, chasing him down in 5th. 6th, Nicholas Porras, along with Mahiath Musa, Michael Castro, Christoph Peterson, in 9th, Camilo Sun in 10th place. Martin Spritzer in 11th, 12th is Ike Sky. Dave Young, Simon Kusat chasing him down as quick as possible and lying in 14th. 15th is Kurt Reynolds along with Nico Lawrence, Lucas Kolob, David Roth, Darius running in 19th position. Sean Skitter, Samuel Jordan still in the fight with Lewis Knight, and Christoph Rosolitsky going and finding his way through. So Lewis Knight still onto the back of Jordan, and Samuel having to fight there. Simon Kussert onto the back of Dave Young. That Audi R8 looking very unsteady at the top of the hill. Had to try and really grab it by the reins to bring it back, but loses out a bit of momentum to likes of Young, who carries on the drive to launch his way up through the order. So Dave Young goes and keeps that Aston Martin on track. Lewis Knight and Samuel are the closest on circuit, but we do see Stephen Milana James into the pit, so he's going to be serving that pit stop, dropping down the order. Where is Mahias Musa on track? Because he is lying in the net first place. He's in absolute prime time to keep ahead of the rest of the field. He's going to be passing Nicholas Porras and Stephen Milana James at the moment as he's completed his first stop, but his competition, on the other hand, way down the order, except for Christoph Peterson. Don't count out Mr. Christoph Peterson. He is trying to make up a huge amount of time. Michael Castro, also a driver I wouldn't go and overlook. He's been very consistent this last little run. And Michael Castro has been running in 7th position prior to our previous race. He in Indianapolis finished in 12th. Barcelona wasn't able to get around it. And our previous race was in an absolute great run to claw up through his field. So don't count him out just as yet. He is still in there for a fight. With Simon Kussat trying to chase down Dave Young, not able to get the momentum. Will look around Blanchemont though. Going in through the left-hander, carrying as much momentum as possible as we move into the sunrise. So from the darkness of the night into the sunrise, now we're getting the sun coming down into those front windscreens, and that means that it gets a little bit harder to see the circuit. Lewis Knight, though, chasing down Samuel, and will look for the inside. Couldn't quite get the pass done as yet. The Good Smile Racing not having an easy time out there with the G... There's only way to say it. The Jita Tarot, hoping to carry a little bit more momentum through the corners. Little Lexus proving to be quite a formidable foe at the moment, trying to balance his way out and really hope to get an epic run on the way through. Not going to be an easy time though, as Samuel, hoping to defend, couldn't quite keep Lewis at bay through Blanchemont. Now Lewis has got the drive into the bus stop. Going to go around the outside though. Samuel needs to try and hold this inside line and do a bit of a switchback. Does so, gets immediately stopping on the apex, forcing Lewis Knight, who tried to go for the undercut, couldn't quite get it all booked in. Unfortunately, losing out that bit of momentum, does look towards the outside once again. Samuel comes across the front of the nose. Lewis switches over to the inside, late braking into the hairpin. Going to try and run out wide a little bit and carries a lot of momentum as they launch their way up the hill. We do see Thomas Morton is now into the pits. So Thomas Martin needs to try and get in and out as quick as possible, as Mahias Musa will be looking to gain a lot of time. Samuel losing out a little bit of time at the top of the hill, gets a light lift, and here comes Lewis Knight at a rate of knots, chasing him down, hoping they can get the pass done and dusted. As we jump on board, you can see how late he's trying to get onto the anchors, staring at the back of that Kermit Frog, going and staring at him on the back of Samuel's car. Looks around the outside, couldn't quite get the pass hooked in, gets back onto the gas, looks for the inside, charging down the hill. He's on the marbles though. Samuel guarding that inside line and properly laying into a fight. I mean, this is some proper racing, and I gotta say, this is the back end of the field, folks. This is 21st and 22nd. These two are fighting like it is the Formula 1 Grand Prix final race championship on the line, or the WEC championship on the line, or even the SRO, even better, going and racing it out. And I gotta say, I absolutely love to see this. Lewis Knight and Samuel are having an absolute ding-dong battle. But out in front, first place at the moment, Glenn Smith, along with Liam Smith running in second place. Federico Calgero running in third. All still needing to do their first pit stops. Mahath Musa, though, running in fourth. He's done his first pit stop. Michael Castro, Christoph Peterson, Thomas Morton, along with Camille Hassan, Stephen Malolo, James Ike Sky, Simon Cossett, Skirt Reynolds, who is just keeping ahead of Nico Lawrence and Lucas Collop, trying to go around on the inside. The two Mercs are having a proper run through. Lucas, I do apologize, trying to go around the outside of Nico. Nico's going to have to get very defensive, go late onto the brakes, try and carry a lot of momentum through. But it does look like Lucas gets it all hooked in, runs out a bit wide, runs over the curb a bit, comes back on in front of Nico. But there will be a warning for track limits exceeded there. Not an easy time out there. You only allowed 3 warnings before they start handing out those drive-through penalties, which we already have seen Darius get his first drive-through penalty handed out to him, along with Sean Skitter has served a drive-through penalty. So both leading to try and push their way towards the sharp end of the field. Lucas going and braking a little bit late, with Nico trying to chase him down. We do see Liam Smith and Federico pulling into the pits, so they're getting their pit stops done and dusted. That's going to move Mahath Musa up through the order. But take a look at Martin Spritzer. Now, I do want to talk about Martin at the moment, along with Dave Young. Both cars have completed all their pit stops with 41 minutes left on the clock to get the pit stops done and dusted. 42 minutes to go. So they are now racing to the end. They are going to carry on that momentum right to the end of the race and ensure that they can keep the tires and fuel management at its best. Mahath Musa putting in a fast lap time of a 2:17.025 is the one to beat on this racing day here at Spa-Francorchamps for round 4 of the ERA Sunday Championship. And I gotta say, lots and lots of people have been rather excited about season 11 coming and restarting and being a part of it, being part of all the fun and all the charging around. Sean Skitter going after the back of Darius. These two both have served drive-through penalties. They are both gone and dived into the pits, but it does look like Darius trying to get his way loses out the momentum to Sean Skitter. Darius still needs to get into the pits and serve his 2 pit stops, so he's just got to carry a lot of momentum at the moment and chase down Sean Skitter, hopefully to try and drag him along, bring him up through the field. Nico Lawrence still onto the back of Lucas Collop is our closest battle out on track as it stands, and that is just helping Skirt Reynolds, who runs out a little bit too much on the curb there. Has to back off the throttle just a little bit to ensure he doesn't get caught out with any problem at the moment. Lucas trying to go late on the anchors. Nico really looked for the inside, couldn't get it all done. And take a look at Jardine and Rosalutsky going and battling it out. They've gotten into the pits, so they will be completing their final pit stops, and they need to get ahead of Martin Spritzer, who does get past him. So Martin up into 19th position on the pit stop. So Martin's on the climb. Keep an eye on him, because he's now set the bar for our drivers to move their way up through the order. So proper running on the way through. Our drivers really just trying to push themselves that little bit more. This is server 1. So this is our pros. This is our diamond and platinum drivers absolutely giving it everything that they've got to get across the line and to win the championship for season 11. Glenn Smith running in first place at the moment. Still's got 2 pit stops to go with not much time left. Mahath Musa running in second place, trying to close up. He's currently 45 seconds behind Glenn Smith, but that will change come the pit stop. Michael Castro running in third place, 25 seconds behind them. Has got Christoph Peterson, who is looking to gain some valuable points here. He needs to get past Michael as quick as possible. Both running in the same championship as that Honda, getting very out of shape. Into No Name, gets one heck of a tank slapper and tries to bring it back. Taking a look at the lap time zone, And the pit stops, as we see Glenn Smith has now pulled into the pits. Mahath Musa did change his set of tyres on his pit stop. So did Michael Castro, Christoph Peterson, Thomas Morton, along with Camille Hassan. They will change their tyres. Stephen Milano, James changed his tyres. Skies changed his tyres. Simon Kusitz changed his tyres. There is not a single car out there that has done a pit stop without going and leaving a set of tyres on. But that now leaves the question of when are the drivers going to do their final pit stop? How much have they got left in the tank? If you drive one of these GT3s very, very well and ensure that you can keep the momentum, you will be going and getting roughly about an hour to an hour and 10 minutes on a tank of fuel. But with an hour and 30, it is a big stretch. And 2 mandatory pit stops does really bring things into check. Glenn Smith pulls into the pits. That's going to allow Mahath Musa up into the top spots. And Mahath Musa going to carry the momentum ahead of Glenn Smith. Glenn's going to be keeping an eye out where Michael Castro is. Michael's going to get past, so is Christoph Peterson. So these two fighting it out will move into second and third and be charging for the top spot. Glenn Smith will have to keep an eye out for the rest of the field, as we do see Christoph Peterson chasing up Eau Rouge, carrying a lot of momentum, getting slightly caught behind Michael. Michael going defensive, holds the inside line, switches to the middle of the circuit. That forces Christoph to try and battle around the outside. Going to go late on the anchors just to try and bring it back into turn 3. The little Honda really doing everything it can to try and battle his way through. Gotta say, a very unique car that many people don't actually drive is a little Honda, but give it credit where credit's due. Christoph Peterson has got this car absolutely all hooked up and on the way for the climb. Camille Hassan getting ahead of Glenn Smith. Glenn Smith actually losing out to Stephen Milano. James, who gets a tank slapper, and immediately Glenn Smith saying thank you very much. Tries to go around the outside. Stephen stuck on the inside. Will lose a bit of momentum on the way down the hill, but if he could keep his nose absolutely planted on the inside, couldn't quite get it done. And Stephen losing out to Glenn Smith on that run. Glenn just carrying a lot of momentum through, was able to battle it out and ensures that he's able to get going. So great stuff from our drivers, hoping that they can carry the momentum through. And I can tell you that we've got the crowd going wild here. Cornelius, who's actually sitting and watching from the grandstands, is quite happy with the racing at the moment, and saying taking a look at our server 1 has been quite an eye-opener, seeing the drivers really pushing the limits at the moment. Fastest lap time is a 2:17.025. But if you want to keep an eye out on all the lap times, head over to Pit Wall down in the description of our video YouTube link here, and you can keep an eye on all the server times of what's happening out there on track, and also get a little bit of planning done as well if you are one of the teammates looking at how the race is going. Darius now into the pits, will be serving his pit stop. He's got 2 to serve though, and that will change up the order. It'll drop him down out into the top 20 as it stands. Not ideal circumstances for Darius, considering of how much of a climb he's actually had during the course of this race. But failing to do the pit stop correctly, then a drive through. Oh, Christoph Peterson on the way up, getting all out of shape as he chases down Michael Castro for the likes of second place on the cards. 33 minutes to go of the pit window, and it's still all open for our drivers to push themselves out a little bit more to try and get the climb on the way through. Christoph Peterson keeping the pressure on Michael, will try and open up that gap a little bit more. But let's go through our highs and lows, folks, because let's talk about this. Mahath Musa started in first, back into first. He's happy. Michael Castro up 3 positions from where he started. He started in 5th. Christoph Peterson started in 3rd, and yeah, he's back into 3rd. Thomas Morton is actually up 6 positions from where he started. But Camille's son is one I want to talk about, because he started in 19th and has now climbed 14 positions to get into 5th place. So keep an eye on Camille here. It's been an absolute dominating drive for him. Glenn Smith is up 3 positions. Ike Sky up 4 positions. Simon Kusat up 9 positions. Liam Smith up 7. Federico Calgera up 8. Lucas Kolb up 2. Nico Lawrence exactly where he started in 12th. And Nicholas Porras is up 10 positions. And then we start getting to those that have dropped down. Stephen Milano down 8 positions as he gets passed by David Roth, who's now up 10 positions. Sean Skitter up is down 11 positions. Stephen down 9. Martin Spritzer down 9. Dave Young up 7 positions. Kurt Reynolds currently up 1. Darius down 18 positions. Oof, down on his luck there. And still got one more pit stop to go. Lewis Knight down 6. And Christoph Rosaletsky down 8. And Samuel Jordan up 3 positions on the run. So our drivers really going and pushing a bit of a hard run here, hoping that they can carry the momentum, and many of our drivers still keeping very close to one another on their way through. Going to be a proper hard drive for them. Nico Lawrence keeping Lucas just ahead of him. Federico Calgero trying to battle against Liam Smith, who is just up the road. But Stephen Milano James will be the one to keep an eye out for now, as he lies in 16th position, but has completed all these pit stops. And we saw how the undercut can be extremely powerful during the course of this race. So Mahath Musa is going to have to take note, and so will Castro and Peterson. They will have to keep a very close eye on where Stephen is out on the circuit, because what is going to happen is when they need to do their pit stop, Stephen will be the bar. He will be what's set. And a lot of drivers are taking the gamble going a little bit later into the race. I do expect roughly 25 minutes left of the pit window. We will get majority of the cars coming into the pits, serve their final pit stop. A lot of splashes and dashes. I don't think there will be tire changes during that. They're going to try and protect the tires that they've got on at the moment to just get them down to the wire. So it's going to be a very difficult run there. Christoph Peterson chasing down Michael Castro though, looking to go for the inside line. Couldn't quite get the pass down there. Michael just carrying the momentum on the way through, keeping himself all in check. David Roth into the pits. Sean Skitters into the pits as well. So we're going to see those two drop down the order, but getting their final pit stop out of the way as quick as they can, as we see Michael Castro going and keeping ahead in the Porsche. As we jump on board, this is off the back of the car, and you can see how that Honda has got a very cheeky smile of likes of Christoph Peterson, who's just absolutely loving the fight right now on the way through. He's going to go a little bit more on the brakes, going to try a little bit later actually. Nose diving really hard to the floor, tried bleeding off the brakes a little bit early there to just get ahead, but couldn't quite get it. The Porsche having a little bit more legs. We can see exactly how hard that Peterson is trying to hunt down that position in through the hairpin, all looking pretty clean, not fighting the car on the exit as he's trying to keep it as balanced as possible. Now this is heading up towards Eau Rouge. We're going to go to the helmet cam here because we're going to see how the sun comes into effect up through Eau Rouge. Does change settings mid-corner, moving the brake bias a little bit, or going and moving traction control. I think that might have been brake bias. Taking a look on the left-hand side, going to go later under the brakes though as they make their way through, and it does look like Michael's not backing out. Slight bit of contact between the two, but Michael was able to carry a lot more momentum out of the corners, puts himself back into a more favorable position. Christoph Peterson though did take a proper good look, unfortunately couldn't get it done. Sky now into the pits, going to be serving his final pit stop, and we'll be keeping a close eye on where Stephen Milano James is as he drops down the field. Lucas Kolob and Nico Lawrence also serving their pit stops as they make their way around. We do see likes of David Roth and Sean Skitter coming out of the pit, so both of them getting it all sorted out. Our top 13 yet to do their final pit stop. Christoph Peterson and Castro still hanging on the back of one another. Darius down in 20th position, still needs to do his final pit stop. But Mahath Musa out in first will be smiling as Christoph Peterson is battling out with Michael Castro. These two going hammer and tongs at one another, but that has allowed him to break away by 28.5 seconds. So Mahath Musa has properly run away from this little train. Christoph Peterson will be taking note of this. So far, won quite a majority of the races And let's see if he'll be able to keep that momentum up. Michael Castro looking very, very defensive around the track here at Spa. He's got it all put together. So as we do see Christoph Peterson opting to go and pull into the pits, he will be in the top 3 and will be setting the next bar, I would believe. Steven will have to try and make up some time. He's up into 11th position for the Flying Lizard Motorsports as they charge their way through. Great stuff for Stephen Milano James, carrying a lot of run up through the field. Sky down into 12th position will immediately have the pressure from Martin Spritzer, who dives up to the inside, making short work of that Lexus that's just come out of the pits. Martin was part of our early pit stops, got it all sorted out, and went out racing. Now up into 12th position. He's got to keep it well in mind. That's going to play a big game for him. David Roth, though, moving out of the way, sees Darius coming by. Darius having no problem on the way through. Sean Skitter will be next on the clock to go in verse. And Sean Skitter in through the hairpin. Couldn't quite get it all buttoned up. Tries to get away from Darius as quick as he can. Christoph Peterson into the pits, and Glenn Smith into the pits as well. So Glenn trying to get that pit stop done and dusted so he can stay in the race. Darius closing up onto the back of Sean Skitter and looking to try and get the position back. I think at this point, Darius is just seeing how far can he get himself up the order before he needs to do his final pit stop. He's going to take it right down to the final wire for it. He's going to do the final lap, get in the pits, get out, and get going once again. Not going to be an easy time here, so he needs to try and get past Sean Skitter as fast as possible to ensure he stays in the mix. So far, 26 laps completed by our leader, 26 minutes to go, and Mahath Musa into the pits. Michael Castro will be taking note of this, so will Thomas Morton, who will be trying to close up some time. Thomas actually running out very wide in the Mustang for the Palinka Power. Camille Hassan running in 4th place. Will keep an eye on Simon, who's got Liam Smith on the back of him. And Simon Cossat dealing with Liam Smith of the 2ID Matty ERA BMW, trying to close down that gap as fast as possible in some very unique colors. Glenn Smith, also part of the 2ID team, comes out in 10th position. He will be chasing down, trying to close up to Christoph Peterson on the way through. So it's going to be a bit of a climb there to try and get it back. Glenn Smith 21.8 seconds behind Christoph Peterson, who was stopped in the box on his second stop, 33.1. So Christoph Peterson's actually done a full-on tire change. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Mahath Musa into the pits. Michael Castro into the pits. Will they do a tire change as well to try and combat Peterson, who has changed tires? So Peterson onto the back and will be trying to get closer to Nicholas Porras, who is for the heart of racing. Lost out a bit of time when he had it coming together with Camilo Sutton on the way through. Simon Cossat coming into the pits, trying to get himself going. And Michael Castro stopping in the box. Mahath Musa stopped in the box. And they trying to get the fuel stop and tire stop at the moment. Thomas Morton out in first. Camilo Sutton in second. Mahath Musa, Michael Castro running in third, fourth. And Liam Smith will be coming by to gain those 2 positions. So Mahath Musa trying to exit as we see him up through Eau Rouge, but David Roth getting a drive-through penalty for track limits exceeded. Here comes Liam Smith, though, having no problems up the Eau Rouge, getting the pass done and dusted. Now looks to try and snatch the victory away. Mahath Musa is ahead of Christoph Peterson, but Roth will be going and kicking himself now, dealing with that drive-through penalty issued, and that is for track limits exceeded. The Racing Emotion not having a great time and definitely feeling some emotion at this point, as we see Sky onto the back of the likes of Spritzer, and unfortunately gets it a little bit all out of shape. And Spritzer says thank you very much. He's going to carry on the momentum and keep the climb going. So Mahath Musa up into a net first place. Castro in a net second place with Simon Cossat in the pits. Nicholas Polaris needing to get into the pits, along with Federico needing to get in the pits. Liam Smith Camille Hassan and Thomas Morton needing to keep up the drive. Michael Castro onto the back of Peterson ahead of him. Will look to try and get past, running out a little bit wide. Now into No Name. Can he get it all buttoned up to just try and carry a lot of momentum before they get to Puon, which is a double apex left-hander. If you can just get underneath the driver and force him out wide. And this is generally where we see the off-track start to come and become a bit more of a problem, as Michael Castro's got Christoph Peterson right in ice line for him, hunting his way by, trying to close up that gap as fast as possible. Christoph Peterson dealing with Michael Castro at the moment, holding him at bay. 23 minutes left of this race. David Roth into the pits. Our top three now having to think about where they're going to get into the pits. Thomas Morton, Camille Hassan actually pulls into the pits. Mahath Musa has completed all his pit stops. Liam Smith will be sliding down the order on their way through. Sky trying to get onto the back of Spitzer. So Martin in the Lamborghini is dealing with Sky all over the back of him in the Lexus, trying to hunt him down at this point and get it all sorted. And it does look like Spitzer is able to carry a lot of momentum through at the moment. David Roth trying to still get out of the pits, and that tells you the story. I mean, you getting in and out of the pits is equivalent to about 75 seconds to just get in and out of the pits, and that is absolutely a killer in terms of time that is needed out there. So definitely a world of hurt coming into play. But Martin Spitzer has got Sky onto the back of him. We keep an eye on this battle as it rages on, with Sky looking up on the inside through Blanchmont. Couldn't quite get it done. Looks towards the inside into Bus Stop. A quick change. Last minute decision. Spitzer having to just go a little bit later on the brakes. Runs out a bit wide. How much drive has he got? Sky actually having the worst drive out of the Bus Stop. Lexus not having that low end torque to go and battle his way out of it as planned. Camille Hassan coming out of the pits, so is David Roth. So it's only first, third, fourth, and eighth needing to get going. But we do get a big burst as Glenn Smith gets a drive-through penalty, folks. Glenn Smith for track limits exceeded. And let's take a look, and I can only guess one place where it all happened. Let's go to our Helicam and let's see if you could spot where did the penalty come from for exceeding track limits. Up through Eau Rouge, and there it is, folks. There it is, taking way too much on the top. And unfortunately, Glenn Smith, feeling the pressure coming to it, now has to serve a drive-through penalty towards the end of the race. And this is absolutely going to knock him right out of that top 10. He is definitely not going to be impressed with that one, and will be kicking himself because there's no one else to blame there. Unfortunately, you are the only one behind the wheel. Thomas Morton out in first is trying to open up the gap. 52.8 seconds. It's still not enough for Mahath Musa to stay behind him, as we do have Nicholas Porras comes in to the pits. He's currently running in fourth place. Will Christoph Peterson be able to get by? I think he will, because here he comes into the bus stop looking like he can carry on the momentum. He's got Michael Castro on the back of him. Michael's not backing out of this fight. He's going to try and keep his way all the way to the end with 20 minutes to go and our penalties rolling in thick and fast. Let's go through our current drivers in position. It's Thomas Morton out in first place, Mahath Musa in second. Third place, Federico Calgero, Christoph Peterson, Michael Castro, with Nicholas Porras going to lose out to Camille Hassan. Glenn Smith into the pits. Stephen Milano, James Elk Sky, Martin Spritzer, along with Simon Kussert, Dave Young, Lucas Collab, Skurt Reynolds, along with Nico Lawrence, Sean Skitter, Darius Swalmar Sky, along with Lewis Knight, Christopher Rodsky, Samuel Jodin, and David Roth in 22nd. Unfortunately, had a few retirements during the course of this race, and it has been a race of nutrition, that is for definite. Not to make any mistakes and to try and keep a good bit of momentum at the moment, but some drivers unfortunately catching the walls and mechanics saying, oh, we can't really put these back together. We're going to have to turn the cars in, much like Paul Fenter, who has walked out. Can take a look in the VIP grandstands. You can see him kicked up in his lazy chair. Got a drink in hand and is just watching the racing at this point, going and supporting his fellow team of Logistical Nightmare Racing. As we see Martin Spritzer trying to carry a little bit more momentum onto the back of Sky. He's 2.1 seconds behind. Glenn Smith served his drive through, 18 minutes to go, and it is still Thomas needing to get into the pits along with Calgero needing to get into the pits. The only two drivers in the top 10 now needing to do their final pit stops. Darius down in 18th will be getting into the pits, making it a total of 4 times he's visited the pits in this race once he is done and dusted. So not an easy time out there. Calgero looking to carry a lot of momentum through at the moment. Needs to try and open up the gap to Christoph Peterson. That's 25.9 seconds because Michael Castro is on the back of him. This is going to be a proper run for our drivers, looking to move their way up through the order, scoring valuable points at this point. Michael Castro going to be scoring some big points if he can hang on to the back of Christoph Peterson just that little bit longer. The Porsche is starting to taper off though and having a bit of difficult time out there. Reynolds with Nicholas Porras and Nico Lawrence chasing him down. Glenn Smith, who served that drive-through penalty back out onto track, is trying to close up some time to Nico Lawrence in the Mercedes just ahead of him. And Paul Venter going and giving a bit of insight, saying he's a bit crying over the broken Aston Martin because, man oh man, Paul the Wall Venter definitely met the wall quite hard there with the Aston Martin. I wouldn't like to get that repair bill of note because you're talking about a few extra zeros behind the top, behind the first number. That's not a £2.50, that's for certain, or even a £2, or a €2, or a 2 American USD, or 2 Canadian USD. We could go through the entire list of currencies, but either way, it's not a very cheap car to put back together, and that is being felt by our drivers. So, Martin trying to keep it going. Tomas hoping that he's putting enough of a gap, 49.6 seconds over Mahath Musa, who's in a little bit of no man's land at the moment. 16 minutes to go with Falguero running in third. Christoph Peterson 23.8 seconds behind him and has closed up a huge gap to Falguero. Federico Calgero, who is now pulled into the pits. So Federico done and dusted, will serve his final pit stop. Michael Castro 1.5 seconds behind Christoph Peterson, looking to stretch his gap a little bit further now on the way through. Not going to be an easy time. Michael Castro will have to try and get late on the egg. He's going to have to try and figure out where he's losing lap times. At the moment, he's been losing roughly, I'd say, 0.5 of a second to Christoph Peterson. Last lap time, though, was a bit closer. Christoph Peterson in 2 minutes 17.4 with Michael Castro at 2:17.485 as they get past Federico, who we could see that Lamborghini in the pits, serving his final pit stop. That will leave likes of Tomas and Darius to serve their final pit stops for the race as they launch their way around. Tomas not going to lose out too much time here. He's hoping to keep up the gap. 48 seconds ahead of Mahath Musa. Christoph Peterson 32 seconds behind him there. So it is a possibility that Tomas will come out into the fight of Christoph Peterson and Michael Castro on these final pit stop. So with that being said, it's going to be close. He's going to be in the fight for third on his way through. Nico Lawrence now putting pressure on Porras ahead of him. So Nico needs to get ahead of Nicholas just ahead of him. Jumping over the curb though, Nicholas keeping it all nice and neat. Glenn Smith looking to get into the fray of things as well. Glenn Smith with a huge send on the inside, heading to bus stop, gets it done. Nicholas gets it all hooked out. Nico's trying to come back, side by side they go. Glenn Smith gaining 2 positions into the bus stop ahead of Nico Lawrence and Nicholas, who braked a little bit too late. Huge sends, and may oh may, it comes through. Nico Lawrence trying to get that pass done and dusted. Gets it all done ahead of Glenn Smith, who had to back out from the fight. Couldn't quite get the nose tipped in. And wow, oh wow, Glenn Smith with that huge send went up 2 positions. Unfortunately, just couldn't hold on to it towards the end as they jump up through Eau Rouge. And it does look like Nicholas sliding around the rear tires on the Aston Martin, starting to give up and lost out to the train of Nico Lawrence and Glenn Smith, who are now all over the back of one another. Nico diving for the inside, try and hold it back of Glenn Smith, who does go a little bit late on the brakes. The Ferrari 296 battling his way through, and we do see that's Reynolds who's in the wall. Reynolds in the Mustang, in the wall, dropping down the positions. So Scott Reynolds now will be really crying out in pain after that one. Nico Lawrence trying to deal with Glenn Smith. Lucas Kolob onto the back of Dave Young. The logistical nightmare racing, dealing with Lucas, who's all over the back of him and not giving an inch. So our drivers making their way through. And I've got to say, a bit of a weird one for the number 98. And let's actually go and take a quick look at what happened to him. Jump up to Tim in the helicam as he watches out, late on the anchors, brings it back, the Mustang, just snapping out and oof, into the wall. That is all she wrote, and loses our 3 going 4 positions while trying to battle out. As we go back to our live show, Lucas and Dave Young now onto the back of Federico Calgero, who came out of the pits. Now the Lamborghini is going to have to get a little bit elbows out with Dave Young and Lucas Kolob chasing him down. The Aston Martin and the Mercedes AMG GT3 hanging on the back of him. And it does look like Federico has actually lifted off the throttle. He's let them go. So Lucas is going to say thank you on that one. Not getting caught out. Dave Young goes out a bit too wide. Lucas up on the inside. Will carry a lot of momentum through, but Dave Young will have the advantage. Going up Eau Rouge. Hooks are right. No, he actually lifted. He lifted. And that allowed Lucas to absolutely break away towards the top of the hill, putting on a second over the likes of Dave Young, who just couldn't fight him back. Darius serving his final pit stop now, but the only driver out on track needing to get it done is Thomas Martin, who's got only 10 minutes left in the pit window to serve it. And how long can he bring this Mustang to the top? Well, we're about to find out. It's going to be some hard and late braking to be done and dusted. And Thomas not having an easy time out there, really fighting his way around the circuit, as Simon Cossat also trying to bring his way back up. A quick yellow flag for touching the dirt there. So running through the order with 10 minutes and 45 seconds to go, it's Thomas Morton ahead of Mahath Musa, along with Christoph Peterson, Michael Castro, Camille Hassan, Stephen Milano, James, Alex Sky, Martin Spritzer, Simon Cossat, Lucas Kolob, Dave Young, Federico Calgero, Nico Lawrence, Glenn Smith, who's still all over the back of him, 0.3 of a second. Then we have got, well, likes of Nicholas Porras, Sean Skitter, Scott Reynolds, who's got himself going, Lewis Knight, Christoph Rolutsky, Samuel Jardine, Darius, who is still in pit lane, loses out to David Roth and will be falling down into 22nd position. Sean Skitter up on the inside of Nicholas, gets past done and dusted there. Not too worried about that one. Nicholas going to try and look to come back at him. Couldn't quite get it all sorted. Just up the road from them, though, is Glenn Smith and Nico Lawrence, who are still giving it absolutely everything they got. Now that the sun is up and the racing is hot, the track up to 20 degrees, the driver's really worn down at this moment. Glenn Smith doing everything he can to stay on the back of Nico Lawrence, and Nicholas going on to the back of Sean Skitter into the bus stop as they carry the momentum. Nicholas just looking up on the inside, carrying a lot of pace at the moment. Will look for a possible cutback onto Sean Skitter into the hairpin. Actually second guess the option. He's going to rather follow through on the way around. So great running there, but it looks like a bit of formation flying, much to the amusement of Sean Skitter, who's going to be saying thank you very much I don't want to really battle with you. I want to try and just keep it all together. Glenn Smith dropping off the back of Nico Lawrence. Frederico going and dealing with Dave Young ahead of him at the moment. Our drivers hoping that they can keep on the run. Christoph Peterson ahead of Michael Castro, who is desperately trying to hold on and to the back of the coattails there to ensure that he stays within the fight. Christoph Peterson really needing to battle it out, hoping that he can try and hold that top spot. Christoph dealing with Michael, trying to close up to him, really looks to try and make up some pace heading into Eau Rouge, but the Porsche just not looking as put together as he would like. Really starting to feel the pressure and lifting off. That has allowed Christoph Peterson to break away, so I think Christoph Peterson is going to be in a bit of a happy space right now, but looking to try and close down the gap because Thomas still needs to get into the pits here, and I don't think anyone's told him just as yet that time is running out. 6 minutes and 55 seconds to go as he catches up to Martin Spritzer just ahead of him. David Roth onto the back of Samuel Jordan. So now David, who has been in the pits 3 times on his run through, with 1 drive-through penalty dropping him down the order, he's catching up to the Lexus of Samuel, who has been properly in a fight throughout the race. Hasn't been an easy ride for Samuel. Thomas finally pulling into the pits. And is it enough to get ahead of Mahath Musa when he comes out? I don't think so. I think Mahath has done enough to reclaim that top spot as he heads into the left-hander of Blanchemont down the short straight. Oh, Darius, no, my friend. Another drive-through penalty, and that is for track limits exceeded. Darius, oh man. Don't you know what that does? It means Paul has got to have another small glass of apple juice on a Friday just for you. Not once, but twice. Oh, man, that is heartbreaking. And Nico Lawrence trying to keep ahead of Glenn Smith, Samuel Jordan, and likes of David Roth all over the back of him, trying to make up some time. And definitely turning into a bit of a difficult time there. But Darius going to be kicking himself from here to heaven's gone. And that was for track limits exceeded. Oh, absolute heartbreak. Thomas into the pits. He's waiting for the rest of the field to come by. Christoph Peterson will be the next driver to gain the pass and get it all done. No! Christoph Peterson losing the rear, steps out. Michael Castro gains 3rd place and will be jumping up into 2nd. Christoph Peterson getting the rear to step out. Now, did he manage to get the car up and going? Yes, he did. But Thomas, now coming out of the pits, will be right onto the heels of Christoph Peterson, who has those rears red hot. So, Christoph Peterson with an absolute tank slapper as he caught up to one of the cars. Let's actually go and take a look and jump on board with him. Let's go into the helmet cab, trying to get around, constantly adjusting the dials. Gets onto the back of one of the McLarens, and that is a Hollow Knight. Oh, and just stood on the gas a little bit too early, and that got the car all turned around. Not an ideal situation, and unfortunately Christoph Peterson losing out that position gets ahead of Thomas, who's going to try and chase him down. 3.9 seconds, but at the moment Mahath Musa on the leading charge. Michael Castro now in 2nd place, catching up to the back of our Hollow Knight car of Rulewski, going and launching his way through. It's absolutely a great time for our drivers as they make their way back up towards the proper run. Our drivers really hoping that they could carry through as they battle their way around. Not going to be an easy time as Mahath Musa looking to carry it through. 4 minutes to go, and our drivers really starting to up the ante. Dave Young only 1.5 seconds ahead of Frederico Calgero. Glenn Smith only a second ahead on Nico Lawrence, who's got Sean Skitter onto the back of him, and It does look like David Roth pulling into the pits will have to try and get himself all sorted out. Darius, who is stopped in the pits. So Darius has looked like he's... No, Darius is still going. So David Roth is stopped in the pits. Racing Emotion has stopped, and it looks like they may have retired that car. The Ferrari, in the final 3 minutes, David Roth has done everything he could, but has stopped the car and will be retiring, which means Darius at the moment can put a few laps on to get himself into 21st position. So after everything, he still may gain a position at the point here. Glenn Smith keeping ahead of Nico Lawrence. Sean Skitter onto the back of him, trying to chase him down as quick as he can. Nico's going to have to really step it up onto the back of Glenn Smith if he wants to get that 13th position, gaining valuable time here. Remember that Glenn Smith, Nico Lawrence and Sean Skitter are all in the same class as one another. Calgero, who's onto the back of Dave Young, is not in the same class, so they haven't got too much of a problem. Lucas Kolob and Simon Kussat will be also looking to try and stretch their way through as they make some time. Sean Skitter through Blanchemont, now up towards the likes of Bus Stop, trying to get that McLaren 720S up on the inside. Was a little bit too far back. Will try and carry a lot of momentum out of the Bus Stop. Nico Lawrence is going to be starting to feel the pressure as we jump off on the back wing of the likes of Nico Lawrence at the moment, gaining a lot of time, trying to really push his way through. Late on the brakes, gets on the throttle as hard as he can. Darius has come to a stop on the track though, and where is he? Yeah, Darius has actually lost into the wall. He had the rear snap out. So Darius, having an absolutely nightmare of a race, gone and spun the car around, and now just trying to get himself back up and going with the final 1 minute and 55 seconds to go. 9th and 10th is still on the line with one another. 11th and 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th are all within a second of one another. So, I mean, this is absolutely mental down towards the end. And this is what we come to expect of ERA. Just when you think it's all done and dusted, that the waters have settled, and that you know exactly what's going on, well, let's just say, not going to happen here. Sean Skitter has got Nico Lawrence in his sight. Darius once again losing the rear end of his car, going very, very slow. Sean Skitter looks up on the inside through Puon, couldn't quite get it all hooked up. Goes through the first apex a little bit too wide there. And oh no, Sean gets it wrong. And we see Darius just slowly trying to limp the car back, rejoining the circuit. Sean Skitter though threw himself off the track. 55 minutes to go. And he's lost out that little bit of time to Nico Lawrence, as we do see Glenn Smith is off. Nico gets a pass, but Sean Skitter does not. What on earth happened there? That was just a spin-off note. And Mahiath Musa comes by. So taking a look at Sean Skitter, we'll see Glenn Smith off the circuit on the coming corner. So Glenn Smith trying to make his way through, gets a tank slapper, comes onto the wall, comes back onto the circuit, clips the rear of Sean Skitter, and suddenly Darius trying to go around. Mahiath Musa will also be trying to make up some time, but that was all she wrote for it, and Nico will be smiling. But here is Mahiath Musa starting his final lap. Michael Castro running in second place, Christoph Peterson in third, along with Thomas Morton, Camille Hassan, Stephen Malono James, Elk Sky, along with Martin Spritzer, Simon Kussat with Lucas Kolob trying to chase him down, Dave Young trying to keep ahead of Frederico. Nico Lawrence is in a bit of clean air as Sean Skitter going to be suffering a bit of damage on his car. Nicholas Porras is saying, okay, well, I've got to pass over Glenn Smith, who's just trying to limp the car around. Reynolds will be coming at him as fast as possible. So there may be a pass for Reynolds at this point. Lewis Knight running in 18th. 19th is Christoph Rodsky, along with Samuel Jardine. And Darius in through the pits, going and skating against the wall. Oh my heavens. Darius, you're just hitting every wall on the way through. And I think that is out of pure frustration that he's bouncing left and right. Yep, that is. You can see the steering input telling the story there. He's just playing a bit of ping pong down the wall, pretty much going and kicking himself for losing it so much towards the end, and actually falling down 19 positions, being the biggest loss of the race. Dave Young and Camille Sun, though, gained 14 positions on the start of this race. So absolutely well done to them as they make their way through. Coursat, though, oh no! Simon Coursat on the last lap, scoring a drive-through penalty, which will officially lock him out of that top 10. He's got to serve it now, otherwise he's going to land up in a world of hurt from our stewards. But no, he's not going to serve the drive-through. He's going to just go and give it one last run, as Lucas Collop now doesn't have to even bother to fight him. He's just got to keep right behind, and he will score the position by technical fault. So unfortunately, Simon running out a bit wide, landed up with a problem, but coming up to the line, taking the checkered flag on his return, Malhaith Musa will take the win for round 4 of the ERA Sunday Championship, with Michael Castro running in second place, has done enough. 8.4 seconds behind him is Christoph Peterson, and Glenn Smith drive-through penalty as well. So our results are going to change hugely with Coursat and Smith getting a drive-through penalty right at the end. But second place, well done to Castro. He's kept it all together. Simon has actually stopped into the wall, and he's trying to pull himself back, but is going to lose out as Dave Young's going to come at him. So Castro gets second. Christoph Peterson making his way through will finish up in third place. And Frederico still catching on to the back of Dave Young. They're trying to make his way through. Let's carry on going through fourth and fifth. Fourth place, Thomas Morton in the Mustang gets ahead of Camille Hassan as he made his climb back up to fifth place. Camille. Then we have got Steven Milano James getting the job done and dusted in sixth place. Ike Sky, along with Martin Spritzer. Lucas Kolob is getting the run as Simon Coursat went into the wall and is now going to have a drive-through penalty, which will actually move Dave Young up a position. Frederico will also gain a bit of time as well. So Frederico going to be quite happy with that. Nico Lawrence running in 13th position, finishes ahead of Sean Skitter, Nicholas Poros, Glenn Smith, along with Skip Reynolds, Lewis Knight, Christoph Rodsky, Samuel Jordan, Darius, and David Roth is our running order. But Simon trying to make his way through. Blanchemont in the Audi, running as fast as he can, will be suffering from that drive-through penalty that will be issued to him. Absolutely nightmare fuel there. And unfortunately, losing out a lot towards the end. So Simon gets that drive-through penalty issued to him. 80 seconds. That is going to promote Dave Young and Frederico. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wow, oh wow, what a race it's been. And you can see Lucas quite happy going and doing quite a few donuts there. He's going to be smiling ear to ear. Let's go back to our commentary box, so as we are going to be going and chatting to our drivers. And wow, wow, we have got lots and lots of stories to get from everyone, especially on the race that we've just witnessed up and down. Who would have seen the top spots changing the way it has? I mean, I surely couldn't have seen that one coming, and I don't think anyone here. But what a great race for round 4. Done and dusted for the ERA round 4 Sunday Championship. It has been an absolute banger of note for our drivers as they make their way through. And we're going to catch some of the highlights as we have a chat to a couple of our drivers coming in for a lovely chat with us. And we're going to kick it off with the likes of Chris, who had a great run. So let's bring Chris up into the commentary box. Chris, welcome to the commentary box. And third place, not quite expected for you, considering how close you were to the likes of Michael Castro. But one mistake was all it took for the Honda to lose out to the Porsche.
Yeah, I didn't arrive in the best state today. Let's say I had maybe 2 shots too much yesterday. Uh, and I forgot to turn TC on again in that corner. Found it too hot to a button, and yeah, then I just spun unexpectedly. But Michael earned that podium so much. He had a lot of pace, and it could have been either of us in P2. I'm still happy about the podium, and I'm also happy about this time not getting 15 seconds in the next race.
Well, that's it. I mean, the success penalty is not coming into play for you. But take a look. I mean, you talk about your race getting into a bit of nightmare fuel. Your championship rival, Darius, finishing down in 21st position, has been through the pits 5 times, 2 drive-throughs, missed the first pit stop, and had to serve his 2 mandatories. But this was the first big race here at ERA for season 11. I mean, not off to the greatest of starts for that, but knowing that there's only 3 rounds left in the championship, do you feel that you have enough left in the tank to push over that line to take the win for season 11 and hold your crown once again?
I will definitely do my best. Now that the race phase season is over, I can concentrate way more on ERA, and I will definitely arrive with more practice than I did for the last rounds. But I think I would also not count out the man who has won today and in a dominant fashion. Muaf had blistering pace, and I wasn't able to catch him at all. And I am sure Darius will be back at, I think Silverstone is the next round too. So I think this will be an exciting next 3 rounds.
It's going to be an absolutely blistering one. Well, 3rd place is nothing to sneeze at, especially with the competition that you've had to deal with. And what a race it was around Spa. Also one of those tricky ones. The conditions in terms of being a little bit darker at the start to lightening up and having that sun directly in your eyes. Did that play a factor for you?
A lot, actually, because of I didn't have a lot of race practice. I only did some laps per day, like 5-6 laps each day, and that meant my setup was not optimal. The front was way too hot, and I lost a bit of braking performance because my ducts were too closed. Yeah, so it was difficult. Also with the changing track conditions. In the end, the track was really rubbered and had a lot of grip, but especially at the start, it was tricky to drive.
Oh, definitely a difficult one out there, but you managed to score some valuable points for the championship. That is the main goal of it, to try and keep scoring the points. Christoph, before we let you go, is there anything you'd like to say to all the amazing petrol heads out there that have been watching live in the grandstands, and those that are going to be re-watching in the future and taking a look at all the racing action? You can also go and add a bit of spice if you want to your fellow competitors out there, because it's getting fast, it's getting fierce, and this is why we got some of the best in the world going against one another.
Yeah, thanks to all the people watching the stream. We all appreciate it, and we are all thankful to have a stream. And what else? Yeah, welcome to all gold drivers that are now on server 1. That's something I want to say. It was a pleasure to have them here, because now the server is a bit more filled and there's a bit more action on track. So I'm looking forward to the next races.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Christoph, well done, and go and enjoy the party. You earned it. That 3rd place for round 4. Absolutely incredible stuff. Next up is going to be Mr. Sky, who had a great race out there. Ups and downs throughout it all, but man, oh man, you were going door to door with the competitors, and after giving everyone the great pep talk in the driver's briefing, suddenly you had to deal with the entire field, taking 90% of what you said to heart. The other 10%, I think, landed on your front windscreen.
Well, I was going to say, I got to be honest, I think I was part of the 10% that caused the issues tonight. There was, the start of the race was something else. I wasn't expecting, well, no, I was expecting space if that makes sense. Obviously, being around the lower split drivers through the first few races, lovely as they are, they leave a little bit more than a car's width. So that's one hell of an adjustment that's going to need to be made. But we got through it. I believe I didn't actually see what happened at Licom. All I knew was that I had Lewis on the outside, who is obviously the person who I'm competing with for the championship, back across the curb. Oh my goodness, it was that was a very messy start. I am expecting a bit of an oh good grief. I'm just reviewing the footage now. Expecting a bit of an incident report and some kind of penalty to be coming my way from the race. That's part of the reason why I had to push so hard, was because obviously with the threat of a penalty looming over my head, I've got to keep on top of things. I've got to keep the gap and kind of ignore everyone else. It was a very insular and not very me race, but hell, fighting with the Platts and the Diamonds is a very, very different experience. Way more entertaining.
Well, I got to say, for having the gold drivers moving into it, it's always great to see. And going in racing, it looks like a lot of the drivers had a bit of fun. You finished up into the top 10, though, does really open up the doors for the gold drivers to see that they can climb the ranks, and even for the silvers and the bronze, that it is possible to catch up to more of the pro tiers, that it's not a elusive idea. How are you feeling finishing up in 7th with Martin chasing down, Steven around you as well, Lucas down in 9th, 10th, Simon, who didn't have the best of runs, he actually landed up with a drive-through penalty at the end.
Yeah, no. There are absolutely zero words for the feeling of running. I mean, even in the top 15 would have been more than I was expected, because I was expecting to be at the back of all of the platinum drivers in the very least. But being top 10 in a field that is this fierce and this competitive, I mean, Chris had made one mistake, I think, through the entire race. And that's what cost him the podium in the end. There's no way that you could get this kind of fighting in many other places. And again, for the most part, the fighting's so damn clean as well. It's really difficult to beat, honestly.
Well, absolutely amazing, Mr. Sky. And well, since you're here in Server 1 and you've got into 7th position, anything you would like to say to the amazing petrol heads out there in the ERA grandstands, going and watching all the awesome action live and in the future, but also to those, our partners, going and assisting us as well, like AssettoHosting.com and also the likes of IMB Racewear being a big part of the ERA family.
I'm a bit of a edge case, been dealing with IMB for a while now, with between LNR and ERA. Met them, have met them in person and spoken to a few of them. So absolute hats off to Assetto Hosting for keeping the server running as well as it is. Bit of a configuration issue, but obviously we can't hold that against them. And IMB make absolutely fantastic race gloves and jerseys to represent your teams as well. Been speaking with Ian directly. Highly recommend having a word if you need some sim racing gloves, because honestly they're just so nice. Even on the G29 it makes a massive difference. But as for everyone else, always be excellent to each other. I'm extremely sorry to Liam for that incident in Lecom on lap 1.
Well, you know what? Sometimes you just got to play the Gunther Steiner method of, well, if you're going to only get 30-second penalty, you got to just try and work out how many positions you need to have to ensure you get to the first. But Mr. Sky,
tonight.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Thank you very much for coming and joining us and being a part of Server 1.
And cheers for stick commentating for us, Stephen. You're an absolutely legendary commentator. I would love to sit alongside you one of these days.
I think you're a lot better than me. That's for certain. My voice is pretty much the same thing that makes the crows fall out the sky. but I appreciate
Yes,
it.
but what you say makes the difference. Have a lovely evening.
Cheerio. Great
Cheers, bud.
stuff. Wow. Okay, let's move on to our next driver who actually just creamed the field. There's no other way of saying it. 36 seconds ahead of the entire field. Mahayath Musa, all the way out from South Africa. Wow, oh wow. Project Vapor, BMW out on rails. How are you feeling with that one, Mahayath?
So I'm definitely happy with that result. Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, the car was on the rails, like you said. Happy with the balance in the car today. Yeah, we just kept it clean all race, no mistakes. And yeah, that 36 seconds, I think it would have been smaller if Chris didn't have that ballast. But yeah, it was a fun race nonetheless.
Well, let's talk about the strategy. You pulled a little bit of an odd strategy. It looked like you had to change it mid-race. Did you stick to your original pit strategy for the race? I mean, it's an hour and 30 minutes, 2 mandatory pit stops. You're used to that in South Africa with the race face races where you're doing an hour and 20 minutes. But did you have to alter the strategy, taking a look at what Martin was doing and what the entire field was starting to do?
Basically, we had a strategy already set on paper. Knowing that there's also that 25-second mandatory time limit in your pit stop. So, yeah, to be honest, the strategy today was just attack. And hopefully we could take the fight to Chris, which we kind of managed today. Yeah, basically 2 pit stops, 2 tire changes, and we go full blast.
Well, let's talk about the championship now. You're scoring valuable points. There's 3 rounds left. Christoph holds the crown for season 10. It's now season 11, and you're starting to look a little bit closer towards it. You're starting to get a hand on the one side of it. 3 rounds to go. Do you think that it is a possibility to go and dethrone Chris and allow that Mahayath Musa holds the crown for ERA season 11?
Well, that's a plan, Stephen. Taking the fight to Chris. He's definitely the benchmark out there. Everyone wants to beat him, unfortunately. No hard feelings. But yeah, we're definitely going to take the fight to Chris and Darius, the 2 aliens there in front. Next race is going to be a bit of a difficult one for me. Not really that comfortable at Silverstone in the Beamer, but we'll give it our best shot. That's for sure.
If you could go and pull it off in iRacing, going and flying past in an LDMH, I think it is possible to get it all done here at Assetto Corsa Competizione. But Mahayath Musa, you've won the race. You scored first place for round 4 of the ERA Sunday Championship. The floor is yours to address all those amazing petrol heads that are watching live on the stream, and also to those that will be watching in the future, and also our amazing partners, AssettoHosting.com, IMB Racewear, along with DSGR and HSR, going and supporting our Evolution Racing Academy.
Firstly, just want to say thank you to the Evolution Racing Academy guys for hosting such an amazing league. Really enjoy it on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday night for that matter. And to all of the guys that's sponsoring them, keep on doing it. It's one of the most exciting leagues I've been in so far internationally. Also, a big thank you goes out to the team. Always there to assist, help. Very, very much grateful for them. And yeah, a big thank you to everyone that's watching on the stream. Always can't leave you out, the main guy, Stephen, for always putting out such amazing stream. Even if you're doing bad, you always want to just go and watch it back just to go and see what Stephen has to say. So, very big thank you to you as well, man, Stephen.
Oh, thank you very much, Mike. But without all the amazing teams and drivers and also our amazing petrol heads out there, I'll just be a lonely person sitting in a room staring at a computer. But massive thank you to everyone out there. Mike, well done. Go and enjoy the celebrations with Project Vapor. You guys have earned it, getting the win for round 4 of the ERA Sunday Championship. And with 3 rounds left, it is all on the line for Season 11.
Great, thanks.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Make sure you hit the subscribe button along with the bell notification icon and leave a like as well. Also, let us know down in the comments what was your favorite part of the race. Also, go and take a look at our server 2 that was running. We did have our commentators going and having a bit of a chat out there, and with a bit of a duo going and giving a bit of jokes. Trust me, hint, racing was superb over at Server 2. Yes, we had the golds here, racing with our diamonds and platinums. I've got to say, more than lovely to see our golds coming back, and as they grow more and more, I've got to say, Server 1 is the place to be, but Server 2 is for our AMs to have a bit of fun and get to test out their skills. Make sure you join up with ERA on our Discord, even head over to our website as well to be a part of all the amazing action, to keep up to date with all our championship points and what's to come, and feel free to take a look at all our beautiful partners being a part of the racing. Without them, this would not happen. Big shout out to all our admin and stewards that work out from behind the scenes. But a big thank you to our drivers, teams, and most importantly, you guys, our petrol heads out there that come back week after week for all the racing action. And like always, always going to say a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.